Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night chill stream for Calls. We're going to be doing quite a bit of the weekend showdown slate for the RSM. Probably get into a little bit of gaming and then whatever other hooligan behavior the community wants to get into. But first, we are going to be starting, like I mentioned, with the RSM weekend showdown slate. So let me get all of my chat settings and layout sorted here. Hopefully you all have had a good week, ready to relax a little bit. How is your RSM going? If you have played in any of those lineups or full lineups or anything, what kind of things do you all want to talk about this evening? All of that good stuff. So, all right, I think I have everything up the way that I am wanting it to. I'm also might be playing with some light settings here in a little bit. So it might be, you all might be the guinea pig in that regard. Considering I've got a little bit of a layout, a different layout, I guess. Wanting to see if adjusting some light settings might work better or worse or whatever. But anyway, so let's get into the RSM showdown here, and we're going to mainly be using Fantasy National, as you see on your screen here. And the reason I'm able to do this is Fantasy National has this wonderful little tab that has the in-tournament statistics. So I've grabbed a majority of these. I'm sure we'll have to come back a little bit to grab some of these, but I've grabbed what I think is the most pertinent. I've also brought up the course breakdown, at least historically, to see about trends at Seaside. Just a reminder, since we are moving to the cut now, the plantation course will not be in effect. It was only used for the cut, so both Saturday and Sunday rounds will be at Seaside. So there's no reason to focus on anything over at the plantation. And then I've also got some stats from ESPN up, particularly the course statistics. And it'll be interesting as we go through this to see how the scoring average has compared historically to Seaside. See if there's a little bit of a different trend this year, anything to that effect. Because in Showdown, having your 3 birdie streak is so very important. So let's jump right into it here. I'm actually going to leave this tab open, but we're going to go to Microsoft Excel. I'm actually going to close out of this. I already grabbed what I needed from that. So what I have grabbed here, and let me put something out there from the beginning as well, is that I'm going to be focusing on the weekend showdown slide. Hey Joey, thanks for jumping in chat and checking out the stream on a Friday evening. Hope your week went well. Pretty crazy weather we're having. It sucks that we can't get out there and chase the little white golf ball again some more, but thanks for jumping in. I was just mentioning how I am going to be focusing on the weekend showdown slate because there are several different showdown slates. There you have your round 3 total or full, round 3 morning, round 3 PM, all of that good stuff. So I am going to be focusing on the weekend golf. And the reason I like that is that placement points don't matter. So I can just take everyone in a vacuum, see who has overperformed, underperformed, etc., and say, all right, well, in relation to what I expected or what you would think would happen on a normal week, they should improve, fallback, etc., etc. But a little bit later on, if it's not too late, I'll probably jump into a game that I've been playing for the past 2 or 3 days that I've really enjoyed. It's pretty basic, but again, as a strategy person, I enjoy it. So might jump into that. It kind of depends on how long the Showdown content takes and whatnot, because I actually can't stay up too late. I'm actually going out of town tomorrow. But anyway, so the only reason that I have this position column labeled here is to see if we want to figure out what metrics have played the most important, say for the top 10, 15, 20 or whatever. But placement points, or I am focusing on contests that placement points don't matter. So let me be very upfront with that. And then secondly, we saw in Fantasy National, if a player is withdrawn or cut, Fantasy National just 999s them out once they are done. So with that, these rankings here are all based on the players that have made the cut. Whereas when I grabbed these metrics, they are all with the entirety of the field. So if you see things that don't seem to be lining up, that is why. These metrics, or these rankings, these numbers are for players that have just made the cut at the RSM. These are against the full field. But anyway, so we have the players over here and their salary. And one of the first things I like to do in terms of a showdown slate is look and see who has drastically underperformed, especially in putting, because putting is so very fickle, not even 1 week to the next, but 1 day to the next, even for pros. Now certainly you have your exceptions, say like Denny McCarthy, who's generally a very good putter every time he goes out on the golf course, but even he has bad days. So one of the first things I like to do is to get a feel for who has drastically over or underperformed their putting. And you can see that here. Anything in green is strong, is good. Anything red is not. So if we, again, sort on the leaderboard, it won't be exact, but if we sort on the leaderboard, we can get a feel for players like Cole Hammer, who has played very, very well the first 2 days. You can see he has drastically overperformed his putting. Harry Higgs drastically overperformed his putting. He is normally, he has been 4th this week. He's normally the 40th best just among the players that have made the cut. So he's drastically overperformed. David Lingmarth overperformed, whereas players like Saying You'll Know, he's underperformed. Smalley's underperformed. Gordon's underperformed their putting. So I like to get a feel for the players who have underperformed, but also have still ball struck it well, particularly with their irons. So I'm actually going to bring this back to the salary. So the first player that jumps off the page to me is Brian Harman, the #1 priced player. He has been woeful with the putter by his standards, and yet he's ball struck it well. Off the tee is really never a part of his game. Around the green, but you see, coming into the week, he was number 6 in the wind. He was top 15 when it was easy, and number 2 when on short courses. So Brian Harman to me looks like a very, very, very strong candidate to drastically improve, given everything stays the same here. If he stays the 12th best among the players that have made the cut in irons, he should improve his putting performance and therefore rise in the standings, in the rankings. Keith Mitchell might also be somebody somewhat interesting. I'm a little concerned because he generally doesn't play easy courses well, but he has so far this week. Now, he is an off-the-tee type player, and he has struggled. So I have a little bit of hesitation there with Keith Mitchell. We'll talk about Joel Damon here in a little bit. I'm more focused on trying to see if there's players that are really, really drastically underperforming and still hitting their irons well. Richard, it has been a long time since I've seen you in chat on YouTube. Thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. How have things been going? Hopefully you have been well. I have started some Showdown content. Going to be doing that a lot on Friday nights. And then we'll probably expand that throughout 2023, as that has seemed to be pretty popular. But it's good to see you again over on YouTube chat. So if you see me looking over to the right, I have all my chat settings for the Friday night streams over here. So we'll take a look at Martin Laird here in a bit. Where is Party Marty? He should be somewhere up here. Party Marty. Well, now did I miss him for a bit? Martin Laird. Did he make the cut? I don't have him making the cut. Now you got me confused. Well, now we're going to go over to the leaderboard. No. Are you thinking about Martin Trainer? Martin Trainer played this week, but Party Marty didn't. I was a little confused there. All right, so we've got Brian Harmon. We take a look at like Alex Smalley here. Very interesting as well. He's drastically underperformed. He's hit a lot of greens, which is what Alex Smalley does. So that's really no surprise here. But he's been fairly solid. And yet he's underperformed his putting. So that's another player that, at least at first glance, I kind of like here. Will Gordon, on the other hand, you see he has drastically underperformed his putting, but he has been fairly middling with fairways and greens, and his iron game has not been good this week, at least so far in the first two rounds. So that gives me some cause for concern, because if you are ball striking it well, then I know you're at least giving yourself opportunities. Now, he has been getting off the tee well, but that looks to be more so distance because he's, again, middling in fairways hit. So I have some concerns about Will Gordon as well, like I do with Keith Mitchell. I have a little bit of concerns with those two players. We move down. Harris English, kind of the same, although he has drastically underperformed his putting. He is number one around the green this week, but he's been worse at hitting fairways and greens than Will Gordon has. So, not really there with Harris English. Kevin Kisner, okay, a little bit better, but still not in love with it. Ben Griffin. Griffin might be saved by the fact that, at least in his short time on the PGA Tour career, he has generally played wind, easy, and short fairly very well. Did I say fairly rarely? Weird. It's been a long week. He's played these three overarching categories very well, especially short courses. Ben Griffin is kind of interesting, especially since he has drastically underperformed his putting. But, you know, by no means is looking to be an obvious choice like Harmon and Smalley so far. Griffin, Jaeger, I just don't see it. Again, he's not been ball striking well. Look at these. Look at the fairways and look at the greens. I'm just not there. Poston, no. Now, somebody like Carl Yuan, who has been number 2, and actually, let me freeze these panes for you. Freeze the top row. I think you all, I probably need to zoom in for you all. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you all to see. We were talking about, where'd he go? Yuan. Carl Yuan. There he is. So, he's been number 2 in approach this week. He has not putt well. Now, the fairways and the greens do seem to be an issue, particularly since he's number 2 in approach, yet he's only 38th in hitting greens. That's a little concerning. So I'm gonna label Carl Yuan, but there's all possibility here that when we dig in further, that he is actually not as promising as what the stats may say. Moving on down here, you got Badley, Bryce Garnett, Garrett Cole. See, none of these really jump off the page like Badley would, but he's been pretty bad with his irons this week. He's hit a lot of fairways, but that's his game anyway. We have Chris Stroud, Dylan Wu. He's hit a lot of greens. He's been pretty bad with his putter. Like, Dylan Wu actually might not be too bad. Now, his overarching metrics, or at least the big filters, aren't strong. They're really poor. Martin Trainer also has drastically underperformed his putting and is still ball striking it well, or at least with his iron. So, possibility. So, after I go through that, let's move back over here to Fantasy National, and let's take a look at the tee to green stats. This is, you have your things such as driving distance, fairways, greens, scrambling. I'm going to want to look at scrambling. Let's see who's kind of what I would consider smoke and mirrors their way around here. So look at somebody like Patton Kazire here. He is number 1 in scrambling. He's also number 1 in sand saves. He's 19th. Let's see if I can't bring this together. Hopefully you can see that it's not too scrunched on your screen. So you take a look at somebody like Patton Kazire, and he is sitting right here, number 32. So I'll bring him up to the front here, or up at the top. If you're number 1 in scrambling, number 1 in sand saves, yet you've been fairly mediocre with fairways, fairly mediocre with greens. Not sure if I'm going to be wanting to focus on you this week in weekend golf, especially since he has overperformed his putting. Like, to me, Patton Kazire sitting 19th is a lot of smoke and mirrors. So the next thing that I like to do going through here is to essentially cancel out or remove any players that I have no interest in. So Patton Gazire is somebody. Looky here, Harry Higgs, number 1 in scrambling. He's not been good in the sand, but if we look at Harry Higgs, like he is, we talked about drastically overperforming his putting. He's been number 1 in greens. He hasn't hit many fairways, and you need to hit fairways here at Seaside. Harry Higgs is somebody that I don't think I would have any interest in this week in terms of weekend showdown. Other players here, again, like David Lingmerth, mentioned him. He is up in the 7,000s. Lingmerth, 10 and 57. Like, overperformed his putting. He's been scrambling like a madman. This has not been the best ball striker. His off the tee is pretty poor. Like, I don't think I want any part of David Lingmerth this weekend. But that's a lot of the things that I like to do. I like to come down or check this, scrambling and all that stuff, and get a feel for who might be some smoke and mirrors throughout here. Somebody else like Taylor Montgomery down here, I just saw 9th in scrambling. He's 10 for 12, 4 for 4 in sand saves. That just seems unsustainable. Particularly, he's actually underperformed his putting. That is interesting. He hasn't been hitting his fairways and his greens all that much. Interesting. I've noticed that these, I must have sorted and these got jumbled up. So I'm actually going to hide these so it doesn't get confusing, because it's confusing me. Hide. And we can just check back and forth with Fantasy National. Okay. He hasn't been hitting his fairways or his greens. He's been scrambling, but he is underperforming in his putter. Quite interesting. And he's generally been pretty good in the 3 overarching metrics. So I don't think I'd write him off just yet, although I am not. So look at here, like, I don't understand how he's been supposedly number 1 in off the tee. No, okay, these got jumbled up. All right, that makes me feel a little bit better. I was gonna say, there's no way. These must have gotten jumbled up when sorting. Well, this is awkward, and I'm gonna have to fix that. So let me do that for you all. But hopefully your week has went better than this, and you have not been bad at your job like I am right now. All right. Let's see. Remove. I was going to try to keep the Fantasy National color coding. Probably not going to be able to do that. So instead, what I'm just going to have to do is just straight up VLOOKUP. So I want you, I want this array, just grab everybody just to make sure. I want that array. The off the tee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Brian Harmon has been supposedly 63rd. Is that true? It is. Taylor Pinterest should be number 1. Yeah, okay. Again, apologies for that. That was quite weird. Wow, so that's 7. This is 8. This is 9. This is 10. And I'll fix the color coding here in just a second. That is Kevin Yu. Carl Yuan. And, well, Marty Doe. Alright, there we go. A little bit better. Hey James, how you doing? Sorry I had Fantasy National here off to the side blocking Twitch chat. My lineups are shit. They're done. They're absolutely done. I have no 5 of 6s. That tells you everything you need to know about my lineups. My number 1, number 2, and number 3 player all missed the cut in the rankings. So, not a strong performance for yours truly this week. Not in terms of full week lineups, that is. So, hopefully, I mean, it happens. I mean, bad weeks happen. This is a bad week. I will admit it. Which will be interesting. It'll be good to see on Tuesday night what exactly I've done wrong and go from there. Because that's what I'll be doing. I'll do the RSM like review Tuesday night. That'll just be the Tuesday night show. It gives me a good way to kind of show the YouTube community what I do during, at Twitch or on Twitch. And if people are interested, they can come over with that. But I'll also show that because there's no tournament next week, I was like, hey, well, this was a bad week. Hopefully you were able to avoid the pitfalls that I did. But yeah, I mean, Tom, like I said, I was so high on Tom Hoagie. He did not play well at all. Taylor Moore did not make the cut. He was number 2 in my rankings. Number 3 was Matthew Neesmith, and he fell apart today. So something went drastically wrong in my mixed condition model, or the guys just didn't play to what what their baselines were. Either one is absolutely viable, absolutely an option. No matter what the scenario is, it was bad for me. Okay. I think that has it. And then I'll fix these. But hopefully your week has went well. Are you still Showdown only? Because if so, hopefully I can make up my money back in Showdown. My Thursday Showdown was okay. I had some of the right players. I didn't have them in the right lineup, or like not all together. Like Ben Griffin was one of the few people I used a lot. He went -7. But again, I was high on Hoagie. He didn't play well. Who else? Davis Riley. I was really high on the first day. He played okay. Yeah, stuff like that. So if I had Griffin, I probably had him with Hoagie or Kuchar, who I was also very high on. They just didn't play well. Otherwise, I had a lot of the people that went like -4, -3, -4, which was good, but not competing against the Harris English. Who else was popular that first day and really went low? Keith Mitchell. Like I'm just never a Keith Mitchell believer when it's easy, and he had a very good first day. So, okay. Now that those are fixed, now I can get to the greens. Alright, tee to green. What is everyone's plan for this weekend? I mentioned in the intro that I am actually heading out of town tomorrow, which will be nice. But other than that, I don't have a lot going on, especially since this is the last tournament for the fall. Looking forward to slowing down a little bit. I've got a lot of research type stuff that I want to get into. But what is everyone's plan for the weekend, Thanksgiving? Let's see, I want you. I want this array. And I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Was that 7 and 8? Yeah. Okay. Now that should be fixed. 67 and first, that was Harry Higgs. That should be Harry Higgs. 67th and first. There he is, 67th and first. Okay, very good. Alrighty. Oh gosh dang it, now I gotta fix these people again. Ugh. Gotta find you on. And Marty. Which, by the way, your Akshay Bhatia mentions have looked good so far. I'm probably going to be Mr. No Fun for you then tonight. I'm not believing in Akshay over the weekend. I think it's been a lot of smoke and mirrors. But he's played well. I will take nothing away from him for the first 2 days. I do not see it continuing. This is why you get to submit the lineups, and if he plays well and you used him, you can tell me the next time you hop on how much of a dumbass I am. Because I can be a dumbass. Verifiable. Alright, bold and a 14. Finally, let's fix this. I love it how when things don't go according to plan, because I had all of this situated and it still didn't work. So let's clear, black that out, and clear, and black that out. Okay. I believe that is now finally fixed. Hooray. Okay, so you probably weren't here for the first few guys that I've highlighted and brought, or blacked out or whatever. So let me show you why I've highlighted a few of the guys that I have and why I have crossed out the others. So Brian Harman, I mean, look here, he's drastically underperformed his putting. He's struck it well, at least 12th in approach. He's never been an off the tee guy. He's 4th in fairways hit, which is pretty darn important here at the RSM. He's been very good in the wind and easy and in short courses. So that's a pretty easy call out, I guess, or highlight that everything else being the same, he should improve because he's underperformed his putting. Oh, and another thing too, these 3 columns are full field measurements. That's why you'll see 117th, 131st, and all that. These, however, are just for players that have made the cut. Because when you miss the cut or withdrawal, Fantasy National 999s you out until the end of the tournament. So these are rankings against players that have made the cut. So if you start to see discrepancies, that is why. But players like Harman, Smalley, even Carl Yuan, looking at these approach numbers, drastically underperformed, etc., etc. Dylan Wu, Martin Traynor, and then Patton Kazire, David Lingmerth, and Harry Higgs. I'm going to show you another tab here in Fantasy National where they've scrambled. This is kind of smoke and mirrors. Patton Kazire, Harry Higgs, both number 1 in scrambling. Harry Higgs hasn't hit a damn fairway seemingly this week. He's second to last among the players that have made the cut, and he's number 1 in scrambling. And he has drastically overperformed his putting. He was something like 46 or so, and he was high. It was a high number, so I want no part of Harry Higgs. I want no part of Patton Kazire either. Number 1 in scrambling, number 1 in sand saves. He hasn't been ball striking it particularly great either. And I'll just sort on score. He's at -7. Yeah, I mean, like 24th out of. I mean, it's above average, but nothing to write home about. So, yeah. Let's see. And Patton Kazire is actually overperforming his putting, even being one of the worst ones to have made the cut. So, and then I just was looking at Taylor Montgomery, and that's when I realized that things had gotten all out of sorts. So let's go back to Taylor Montgomery. Normally, he's decent off the tee. It's not his thing, but he's generally pretty darn decent off the tee. You can see he's 67th off the tee, and he's 55th in fairways. So he's not hitting fairways, and he's not hitting greens, or not hitting it far. His greens are absolutely atrocious at 67th. Like, he's somebody else that I was looking at and going to remove. Taylor Montgomery, 9th in scrambling, 1st in sand saves, He's not hit his fairways. He's not hit his greens. It's all smoke and mirrors so far from Taylor Montgomery. Now, the issue is he has played well this fall. So if he's still playing well, if he's still 19th and clearly having his D game, if that could be dangerous. Like he's, especially since he's underperformed his putting, Taylor Montgomery kind of on the fence about. Let's talk about Joel Damon. I mentioned it Wednesday night in the DFS Tactics show. I was very, very concerned about his performance in the wind, and he's played great so far. He has. He's been very good off the tee. He's 10th in fairways, 13th in greens, but yet his approach is not strong. His around the green game is not strong. He's overperformed his putting. Like, the guy's hot right now, so I don't want to completely write him off, but man, it's really, really hard to back the stats here on Joel Damon. He should be -9. Where the hell is he? I guess we'll just go alphabetical. Joel Damon. 30th. So he's not, I mean, okay. Like, he's not really scrambling his way around. Oh, that's why. Good Lord. That's weird. Why does it do that? There he is. I see it. I don't know. I don't see it. I just don't. David Lingmerth, somebody else. 4th in scrambling. Number 1, they're tied 100% in sand saves. It's 1 for 1. But at 7,000, like, he's overperformed his putting drastically, like 46. Like, I've already marked him out, but I'm just showing you. I just don't want any part of David Lingmerth either. So, all right. I like Brian Harman. See anybody else here that really jumps out? Like, Harris English has underperformed his putting, but where is he in terms of scrambling and all that? Harris English, 22nd, 27th, so again, nothing much. He's not driving it far. He's not really hitting fairways. So I'm curious as to why he is 4th, honestly. This is what's confusing me. Like, why? How is he 4th and off the tee when he is 63rd in driving distance, 42nd in finding fairways? This just doesn't make a lot of sense. But off the tee, he is 4th this week. Huh? What? Can someone explain that to me? He's been really bad with the putter so far. He's been really bad with his irons. I wonder. So something else that I've done here is I have gathered every single round that a player has played in 2022 on the weekend golf. I thought that might be interesting to see. So we can take a look at some of these guys and see how they seem to be faring on the weekend. So, I mean, we're talking about Harris English. Like, he has not been good on the weekend. Again, 2020 he was 2022 he was mostly hurt. So, Let's take a look at Harman. Harman's been very good. So I would. Brian Harmon's close to being core for most of my Showdown teams this weekend. Like, just everything lines up to say should be pretty darn good. Should be really, really darn good. Let's see. Alex Smalley. I feel like he's been okay, yeah. Alright, you want to talk about Akshay? Let's do that. I'm gonna be Mr. No, I'm gonna be Scrooge on Thanksgiving for you. Let me show you why I'm down on him, and then I'll give you the reason why there is hope for him. Alright, let's take a look at Akshay. Akshay. He's generally been okay in 2022 when it's easy and in short. But look at these metrics this week. He's not done anything this week that would signify that you should have a lot of faith in him. Akshay Bhatia. Red all the way across. Everything. Total. He is the strokes gained total. He's the one with the least strokes gained total. Even though he's 28th. He is 57th off the tee. He's not been hitting fairways. Not been hitting greens. Now I can't say anything about the putting. I don't know. He didn't putt on Bermuda. Or at least we don't have the putting metrics from his tournaments on Bermuda. But at least by what we can gather here at the RSM this week, it has been bad. It has been bad. So how's he 28th? Shit, wrong tab. Well, I'll tell you, he's been Akshay. There you are. I mean, he hadn't even really scrambled all that well. Sand save's not all that well. Like, he's just doing nothing well. Yes, he does have. Is that his girlfriend on the bag? I think that's his girlfriend on the bag. I mean, it's a great story. And he's hot. I mean, he is hot right now in the sense that he is an open qualifier. So he's played good golf this entire week. And he played the Bermuda very, very, very well. He top 20 the Bermuda, and I did not remember that at all. Did not remember that at all. So when we go to the weekend golf, he's second in terms of strokes gained total on the weekend for 2022 in measured rounds. But again, it's only 2 rounds. So I understand that there's some rooting interest here. I am telling you, James, analytically, there is nothing to go on for Akshay that supports him to continue to play well. If you're going to use him, you are going on the fact that, one, he's an open qualifier, so he's in really good form immediately. He also played a very similar style course at the Bermuda over the weekend fantastically. Again, he gained 2.1 over the weekend, or he gained 4.2 total. This is per round. So he gained 4.2 strokes at the Bermuda, a coastal course, short course with wind. There's the reason why you would be on Akshay. I'm going to avoid him because of this. That's what I got for you on Akshay. Again, like in 2021 when he was playing at Pebble Beach, like he had that very, very strong Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday he kind of fell apart. I just don't see it continuing. I don't. Andrew Landry, I have highlighted. He is the one player that has eagled a par 4 at Seaside. In fact, I need to let's go to the Plantation. Okay, so I need to double check a few players here, and I know the ace on this par 3 was Webb. I need to check and see who had this eagle on the Plantation course. That's Webb, so we don't have to worry about it. He missed the cut. So there's a eagle on hole 1, hole 3, or no, excuse me, hole 1, hole 6, 1, 6, 10, and 15 that we need to kind of mark. So and this is why ESPN is great, because it'll tell you who has the eagles. It won't tell you where it came. Well, I mean, it can, but okay. So that was round 1 looking for yellow. No. Eagle, Smalley. Round 1, Plantation on 14. That's a par 5, so that's fair. Pendrith. Plantation, that's a par 5. Hayden Buckley. There it is. So Hayden Buckley is one of these that I need to highlight. He's got an eagle on a par 4. You can't count on that. Hayden Buckley. Damn it. Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell's one. Had the eagle on 15, on 15. So he's one that is artificially high right now. Let's see. You had hole 1, 6, 10, and 15. So we've got 2 more. Uh-oh. Is Akshay one of them? Nope. Oh, that was Plantation. So he's safe. Saved another one there for you. He might. That's not an immediate write-off again. That's Seaside. Plantation. He didn't have an eagle. Martin Trainer. Nope. Oh, that's Seaside. Shit. Nope. Svensson. Seaside. Jaeger. Plantation 18. He's fine. Joseph Bramlett. Nope, that's on a par 5. Landry I marked. Robbie Shelton. Nope, that was on a par 5. Brent Grant. He might be. He's got 1 on Seaside. It was a par 5. Okay, so everybody else seems to be okay. At least from what I can tell. Okay, so. Let me bring up my mixed condition model from this week, and I can get a feel for who has some good course metrics here. Actually, you know what? It'd just be easier to bring up the early look. See who's played this course well. All right. So, case for tiebreakers and all that. I'm going to bring that over to here. Like I said, Brian Harmon, he's played this event very, very well, so I'm not even concerned with him. And he's basically core at this point. Smalley? He's only played it one time, so nothing a lot to go on there. Okay. Again, like I'm concerned with Damon because of his stuff in the wind, and with there not being a whole lot of upper priced players, I don't know if you have to go into the 6Ks, really. I don't. So, like, Brian Harmon to me is by far and away like core. Smalley seems like he'd be core as well. So I'm going to put him here. Now, anyone up in here that seems like they should improve, like Spawn, he's played very well. He's slightly overperformed his putting, but nothing drastic. Again, I just don't see Damon. I don't. He's overperformed his putting. He's generally really bad in the wind. He's not hit his irons very well. I thought I had Windfinder up. Let's go ahead and bring Windfinder up. I'm gonna put that all the way over to there. What I have seen is in terms of Windfinder is essentially similar to Thursday. Lots of wind in the morning, and then it actually dying down. So we'll go to the super forecast. Like Saturday, again, wind in the morning, but dying down. And I've checked tee times. They're doing the same thing. They're going split tees 1 and 10, starting at 9, and I think the last tee time's at 11:15. So everyone's gonna have a little bit of wind tomorrow, but it looks like the later tee times seem to be the better, seemingly. And then Sunday, I can't even begin to tell you on that because based on how they do tomorrow. So I think the last thing that I want to really, really go over, and then we'll start narrowing down players. And I'm going to maximize this. Let's take a look here, because I want a side-by-side of this and Seaside traditionally. So for example, this week, hole 1 is played to a little bit under par, whereas normally it's over par, so it's played easier. Hole 2 has played basically 4/100ths of a shot easier, so it's right on its normal. 3's been normal. 4's been a lot easier. Look at that. 4's been a lot easier than it normally is. About a full 10th of a shot. Okay. But the reason this is important, again, with showdowns, you got to figure out if where you can get your birdie streaks. So look at this stretch here from 17, 18, 1, and 2. Normally, look at this. Normally, 18 is 7/10 of a shot, or 7/100 of a shot over par. Right now, it's playing 2/10 of a shot under par. It has not been a very difficult hole at all. So you've got a 4-hole stretch here where 1 and 2 aren't guaranteed birdies by any means. But that's a pretty darn easy hole. That's been a very easy hole. And then you have these two that are get the bull as long as you play the way you're supposed to. Let's take a look at like 7, 8, 9, 10. So 8 is always extremely easy. It's playing very, very 4/10 of a shot. Versus normally, closer to 2/10. Now this one is right on its average, essentially. A little bit more difficult. 10 is played easier because it's normally over par. It's slightly under par. And then you have 11, which is, look at that, 11's generally easy. It's played over par this week. So you do have a decent little stretch here on 7, 8, 9, 10. But really it's 7 and 8, and everyone's going to play those two holes back to back. But not everybody is going to play the 17, 18, 1 and 2 stretch together. So if I were, it looks like I think I would favor players that are teeing off on the back 9 slightly because of this 17, 18, 1 and 2 stretch. Again, 1 and 2 are not guaranteed birdies by any means. But 1 is playing easier than it normally does. 2's playing to right at its average. Whereas 9's basically playing to par. And then 10 is okay ish. But 7 and 8 are the ones that are where you're trying to attack. So yeah, I think I'm favoring a back 9, at least for tomorrow. So tee times. All right, so let's start marking some of these players here. So you got. I'm making this easy on myself. I'm going to sort on where they are in the standings because they are going reverse. So I'm going to put him in. I'm going to put these promising ones in a little bit of a green here. Restart your computer twice. Well, fortunately, I haven't had to. So I'm hoping you don't bring the juju to my computer because I haven't saved this file. I generally don't. So you can keep that poor juju over there. Marty, Denny McCarthy, and Zach Blair. So there's Blair and Denny McCarthy. So those three are on the back 9. English, Harmon, and Bridgman. There's English, Harmon. Oh my goodness. Jacob Bridgman. I'm all in on Brian Harmon. All in. Trainers, Vincent, and Knox. There's Knox. Trainer. Svensson, Riley, Alexander, and Cole. This is probably going to be... Well, I'll keep it over here in case you all want to see. Cone, Badley, and Yeager. It just sucks because I have to minimize it to get to here. Cole, Badley. I highlighted Cole. The hell? Or Cone. Dumb shit. Cone, Garnett, Kisner, Poston. Garnett, Cone, Poston, and Kisner. Well. Oh, and these guys are later in the day too. Ooh, yeah. Armour, Herman, and Barnes. I imagine all of these guys are just going to be... I'll still highlight them, but I imagine all these guys are the Bramlett, Roy, Schwab. Bramlett, Roy, Schwab. Yeah, okay. Landry, Redmond, Wu, Shelton, Wu, Grant. Wait a second. Somebody's Landry, Redmond, Dylan Wu, Shelton, Brandon Wu, Brent Grant. I don't have Brent Grant in here. Oh yeah, I do. It's right there. And then you on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, Jesus. It's because of Landry. All right. So there's the guys that are teeing off on the back nine, which seems to have a bit of an easier time tomorrow. Okay, so you were gone. All right. So this will be most pertinent for you. For me, it's going to be impossible for me to give you a preference for weekend golf, but tomorrow looks to be a lot like Thursday. It's going to be chilly. They're going to do split tees. 9 a.m. is the first tee time. The leaders of the tournament tee off at like 11:15. So everyone's going to be dealing with wind at the start of their round. But the players that are at 9, 9:30, all that stuff, they seem to have quite a bit more difficult because the wind's again supposed to die down during the day. It normally doesn't do that. Normally wind picks up during the day, but all I can do is go by forecast. So that's what it looks like for tomorrow. So if you're playing Thursday, or if you're playing Saturday only, round 3 only Showdown, I would have a very, very strong late in the, or like later tee times on the back nine. Like honestly, these guys down here, they seem to have it the easiest. Now, having said that, they're down here for a reason. They're probably just not playing all that well. But they do seem to have the easier part of the round tomorrow. So now that I've done that, I'm going to sort this back again on salary. Even though he is, I think, the first group off tomorrow, like Brian Harman just seems like he should improve via over the weekend. He just should, based on the numbers. McCarthy has been doing McCarthy things. He hits fairways. He's actually been pretty decent off the tee. He's underperformed his putting, but he's still 11th of the players that made the cut. He just doesn't hit a lot of greens. So, not sure about Denny McCarthy. Like, honestly, I think Seamus is going to be okay as well. I mean, he's a little bit over his putting, but it's not like it's been bad. He's still hitting it great. He just hadn't hit a lot of fairways. Seamus seems like he'd be pretty strong as well. Now that I think about it. Because he hasn't hit many fairways. Once he starts finding fairways, it seems like the greens will be easier for him. I would think. I think I'm out on Damon. Taylor Montgomery really does kind of scare me. Because if he's played this poorly and yet is still 19th and hasn't putt worth a damn, yikes. Like, Montgomery is... But maybe it's his scrambling that's been saving him, because he's also 9th in scrambling. So if he stops scrambling well, then these numbers start to make a whole lot of sense, and he's just going to plummet. So Montgomery is your wild card here, honestly. Do you think that Montgomery is going to improve the irons off the tee, all that stuff? Or do you think he's where he is in the standings, 19th, because of his scrambling, and this all comes back to bite him? Huh, easier to stream on YouTube. Interesting. Well, there you go. There's a... But however you need to, or you want to, able to consume the content. But yeah, Montgomery's a complete wild card for me. I don't know how to interpret him. I'm out on Damon. I'm just still scared of the wind performance. He's overperformed his putting. Ugh. Andrew Putnam, quite promising here. He's never an off the tee guy. I mean, he's normally 10th among the group that have made the cut in putting. He's been 7th, nowhere near out of line there. Tagala. See, I mean, he plays the wind well, but I don't know. Like, the irons just kind of scare me with Tagala. They just do. I don't think I want any part of Pendrith. This is not an off the tee course. He's not really hit the fairways all that much. Yeah, just no thanks on Pendrith. Let's see. Gordon could be interesting as well. What's he done in terms of scrambling and stuff? Like, has he been aberration or not? Probably better I just sort or search. Gordon? No, not really. 6th greens. So 31 of 36. Drastically underperformed his putting. He's ball striking fine. Gordon seems like he's probably pretty darn strong this week or weekend. Again, emphasis, I am focused more on the weekend golf as opposed to just Thursday, but Spawn seems like he'd be okay. Yeah, I don't want any part of Wyndham Clark. He's not ball struck it well. He's not a good putter. So as much as I was advocating for him full court or full contest like he's been scrambling. Like, I don't think so. Looks like he's been overperforming. But if in terms of Thursday only, or God, I keep saying Thursday, Saturday only, James, I would kind of start with the guys that are in this light green here, and then bounce around. But let's see, English. I just can't. I don't know if you're fully healthy or not. Rose looks to be a bit of an aberration as well. Looks like some smoke and mirrors. I imagine he's probably been scrambling pretty well. Oh, sand saves. Well, he's 1 for 1. Rose has underperformed his putting a little bit. I don't know. No thanks on Davis Riley. Like, his metrics here have been really poor. And yet, yeah. Stallings, Kisner. Okay, let's like Callum Tarrant here. Number 1, Burmester. Okay, look at Bo Hostler here. Bo Hostler could be something. He's number 1 this week in putting, or at least of the guys that have made the cut. He has been scrambling very well, but he's top 30 in approach of the guys that have made the cut. He is number 1 strokes gained total right now. Number 1 putting around the green. I kind of like Bo Hostler right now, especially because the approach isn't bad. Hasn't been bad. Goddard, he's generally not a good putter, but he's been hitting his irons very well. I'll give him that. Knox is terrible in the wind. Terrible in the wind. Poston, I don't know. There's just not a lot here. There's not a lot here. I know you like Akshay. Is there anything in the 6Ks that, well, maybe? If we take a look at Dylan Wu. Dylon. He's drastically underperformed his putting. He's ball struck it fairly well. Not terrible. What's he been doing? Scrambling and stuff. Hadn't hit a lot of fairways. Scrambling's been okay. Dylan Wu at 61 might actually be okay, especially since he's very late in the day on the back 9. That's something. Now he's generally been pretty bad in the wind and just bad overall, but I don't know, something kind of speaking to me on Dylan Wu. So if I'm willing to come all the way down to Dylan Wu, that means I'm absolutely jamming Seamus and Brian Harmon. Bo at 75, Smalley. Like, is Smalley an absolute? I don't think so. Well, I don't know, because he's underperformed there, and he's been solid all the way around. Like, Smalley seems like he's pretty darn solid. Hostler, I like. He needs to hit fairways, but I mean, he's been putting well per usual. And again, like, it's not that he's number 1 in scrambling either. It's not that he's just been doing that. I mean, he is 14th. He's 4 for 5, but it's not a complete aberration, if you will. Like, Lingworth had to scramble 10 times. Like, I don't see that continuing. McCarthy, has scrambled 11 times. I don't see that continuing. No matter what your putting is. Like, I'm sorry. That's just, it's unsustainable. Just 7 of 8, Ben Taylor. And number 1 in sand saves. Where's Ben Taylor? Right here. He's ball struck it okay. I'm not in love with it. See, the thing is, if we go Bo Hostler here, the issue is, who am I going to do in the sevens? I don't see a whole lot. Like, look at, I mean, Hayden Buckley is artificially high. He's already equaled a par 4. He's drastically overperformed his putting. He hasn't really hit his irons all that great. No thanks on Smalley, or not Smalley. I'm sorry. Gosh dang it, Hayden Buckley. Like, I know you like Bhatia. I'm not going there. So I mean, if you want Akshay, that's who fits right here, James, and there's your lineup. But for me, like, I have to find somebody. Tyson Alexander or below. Ben Taylor doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. All of these guys that have ball struck it well have seemingly either overperformed their putting metrics, like Matthias Schwab, or like Marty Doe. He's just not a good putter. He's 67th this week, and he's only underperformed by 7. I need a good lineup for my mission. I mean, we all need good lineups. Unless you're comfortable just submitting a lineup that you think's throwing away money, because if that's the case, give me the money and I'll try to do something with it. Probably won't do much better, but like Svensson might be interesting, but I imagine he's probably been scrambling pretty darn well. Maybe not. Svensson. Well, there he is. Just saw him. How many times have you had to scramble? 7? Like, that's a lot. It's 5 for 7. Like, yes, he's overperformed his putting, but he's generally very good. Right now he's been very good this week. Generally he is middling. But 39th isn't terrible. He's hit a lot of fairways. Like, Svensson's kind of interesting here, I suppose. Schwab, no. Marty, no. Barnes and Shelton, what have you done? Like, no. Like, Robbie Shelton hadn't hit a fairway. He hadn't hit a green. Like, that's just yikes. That's just yikes all the way around for me. Let's see. I don't want any part of Cole Hammer. He is so far and away above anything that he's ever done. And if he continues to play well, I'll just lose like Tyson Alexander last week. Like, okay, you had a great week. Congrats. Streelman might be something because he's played well in the wind. He's not played well when it's easy or short, but like kind of like Adam Svensson here. He's been, you know, top 15-ish in putting. He's generally middling in putting, but all of his other metrics are okay. Like, Streelman could be something. Maybe. Cole hasn't done anything. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think for me, I think I would round this team out with like Adams Vincent. I think. Like Bramlett is not a ball striker, and he's overperformed his putting. He's not a very good putter anyway. Like, look at Bramlett and MJ Daffy. Like, they're not good putters, and they've overperformed so far. No thanks. And they're not ball striking it well either. When I say ball striking, I'm sorry, I mean strokes gained approach. Off the tee really isn't a big deal here at Seaside. You gotta find fairways, but like that's one lineup, I suppose. Gosh dang it, mouse. Why are you doing this? I hate everything about this right now. There. Okay. That's one possible combination. Like, if you're not going Harmon or Power, I don't like Keith Mitchell. I'm just always going to be wary when it's easy, even though he's played okay. Again, Taylor Montgomery seems like a wild card. Like, I think you need to have him once just to kind of cover yourself. But I mean, Montgomery can go right to the top. He could win this, analytically speaking, or he could just plummet. I don't know how to take Taylor Montgomery right now. But if you don't go with any one of these four, like the next highest is 8,800, you're building an extremely balanced lineup if you aren't going one of these four. And I just don't see Keith Mitchell. Now, again, he's been playing well. Approaches are fine, but he's generally an off-the-tee player. I can't do Keith Mitchell, especially when it's easy. And I think it's going to be easy. So if you're not going one of these three, you're going ultra balanced. But let's try Taylor Montgomery, Andrew Putnam, I like. Still wary of Sahith based on the approach, but I mean, he's hit a lot of greens. He's a very good putter on Bermuda. There's a lot to like there. Rogers has ball struck it well, but generally I would think he hits fairways. I think. Let's see. Of the guys who have made the cut, like JJ Spawn's played this event well, so okay. Sure. Wyndham Clark, who I X'd out, but he's played this event very well. I can't get there with Wyndham Clark based on what I've seen. Mitchell has played this event well, so maybe Mitchell is someone you want to consider, but let's see. Other players who have played this somewhat okay. Norlander? He's number one in something down here. There he is. I mean, he's a terrible putter. Ugh, no. Yuck. Yeah. Honestly, James, and whoever else is out there, I'm hoping this is one of those things like the CJ Cup, where I was like, bleh, and then I ended up making the optimal lineup, but I don't see a lot here. All right, Montgomery, Putnam. I'm gonna try to squeeze in a Spawn and a Will Gordon. I don't think I'll be able to do that. Oh, maybe I can. Look out. 7,500. I mean, this is Bo Hostler again. Ben Griffin's kind of interesting as well. I mean, he's drastically underperformed his putting, but he hasn't hit his irons very well. That's the scary thing with Ben Griffin. I mean, I'm going to highlight him. Excuse me. I'll highlight Taylor Montgomery as well. Like Griffin, kind of like Taylor Montgomery. Actually, I don't think I would use them. I don't think I would use both of these guys in the same lineup. Looking at it now, just because they both could vault, or they both could plummet. And if they both plummet, well, I don't know. Maybe that is a good thing if they both vault. Yeah, F it. Why not? I said Ben Gordon. I have 7,500 again. That's Goddard. That's Hostler. So there you go. There's another. There's a fairly balanced look at a team. If you're taking Taylor Montgomery, like I said, I see him going one of two ways. Like, I don't think he's going to stay tied for 20th. I think he's going to be tied for 58th, or he's going to be in the top 5. Because his metrics so far in the first 2 days are just weird. He's generally been good when it's short, easy, and windy. He's scrambled his way through the first 2 rounds, but we've seen his ability to play. I don't know. I don't know. Let's do. I'm going to do a couple others here. Let's start with a Seamus. And then I'll make one truly, truly ultra balance where I start with Putnam. But Seamus, again, I'm always hesitant on Sahith Theegala because of the irons. He's not the best when it's easy. Actually, let's do a Seamus Taylor Montgomery. In case you don't want to start your team with Taylor Montgomery, let's do this. I don't want to bottom all the way down at Dylan Wu. Anybody else here that might be somewhat interesting? Ugh, goodness gracious, this is bad. Like Landry, he's hit his iron. He's hit all the fairways. He's hit the irons well. He's overperformed his putting. Oh man, that's pretty bad. I'm gonna take out Jacob Bridgman. I don't know what his putting is. He doesn't have any measured rounds on Bermuda in 2022, but he hasn't ball struck it well. Let me see who are some of these other top scramblers here. Like Eric Cole, 9 for 10, seems kind of unsustainable. I mean, same for Taylor Montgomery, really, but. Bryce Garnett, and #1 in sand saves. Jeez. Yeah, I don't think I can do Bryce Garnett or that's Brett Grant. Bryce Garnett. Thought he was up in here. Did I already mark him out? Hammer, Shelton, Daffy, Bramlett, Lingmerth, Kazire, Buckley. Am I blind? Where the hell is Bryce Garnett? I might officially be blind. Jesus. 65. I can't get there. Yes, he's underperformed his putting, but he has scrambled his way this whole time, and his irons aren't that good. I can't get there. All right. Anybody else down here that could be something? Maybe. Possibly. Because if not, it's going to be Dylan Wu again. I don't want to use the same names. Martin Trainer? But again, he's just generally been so bad. He has hit a bunch of fairways. Where is he in terms of scrambling? 6 for 11. He's had to scramble a bunch. Hasn't been doing it successfully. I don't know. I'm going to throw Kevin Streelman into this one. See how that works. Sig. How do I feel about Sig? He hadn't ball struck it all that well. Callum Tarrant could be interesting. Now that I look at it, he's number 1 in strokes gained approach. He needs to find fairways, but he hasn't drastically overperformed his putting. Callum Tarrant could be interesting. He's generally pretty good in the wind too. Not good when it's short. Dean Burmester, for that matter. Now he's a bit worse in putting, but he has at least been hitting his irons well. I'm going to put Callum Tarrant. I'm hoping I can put him there, actually. 78 per. I don't know. Kevin Yu's been mediocre to bad except for the putting, and he's been atrocious. He's generally a little bit better than that. I don't know. Maybe Carl Yuan. He's a very, very good putter, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to highlight him. Armour? Okay. Armour's... Yeah, but he's a very poor player. See, that's the thing. When you come down into these 6Ks here, shoo, you've got something that is really, really concerning. Like, I was kind of excited about Ryan Armour because you don't really need off the tee. He's hit fairways, he's hit greens, but then you look, oh, he's overperformed the putting. Generally, that's not too bad, but look, he's been the 48th best putter of the players that have made the cut, and he has still overperformed those players. Against those players, I mean, like, that's atrocious. So, I mean, he's got warnings written all over him. Eric Barnes, warnings written all over him. Poston, generally a better putter, but he has not been hitting fairways and greens. Like, Knox would be okay, generally. I mean, yes, he's a bad putter, but at least he's been hitting greens. He's generally terrible in the wind. I don't know how to feel about Russell Knox. Same with Jaeger. Jaeger's bad in the wind. And he hasn't really inspired any confidence in that regard either. I mean, the more I look at it, the more like Grayson Sig's actually looking okay compared to all of his counterparts. Like, ugh. He is good when it's easy. It's okay in the wind. It's just the ball strike. His irons haven't been great. Where's Grayson Sig in terms of scrambling? 48th. He's only had to do it 6 times. He hadn't he hadn't been successful at it. Like, I guess Grayson Sig. Like I said, it's a very limited field or group of players that I'm using here for Showdown this weekend, for the entire weekend. Like tomorrow, I'd be much more comfortable. But 77, here's like Stallings, Kevin Kisner, if you feel okay with that. I'd probably go, back on the Ben Griffin, Hostler, but we've used him twice. I mean, I'm just going to say Ben Griffin. So there's a lineup that is Taylor Montgomery second, as opposed to first. But I think this is the way you're going to want to do this right here. Is this stars and scrubs? Like I don't see any way you're not using one, if not both, of Harmon, Power. I don't think you can do Harmon, Power, Montgomery. I think that's way too much. And I'm not terribly convinced on Taylor Montgomery, but I mean, to me, I think Brian Harmon is core. Seamus Power should be good, especially with no placement points mattering. But if we end up going with an ultra balance, where we forego those top three, I don't think you would have to go any lower than, say, Griffin again, but we'll do Andrew Putnam. I am going to go Sahith Theegala. I wouldn't personally do it, I don't think, but he is playing well. The irons haven't been there, and he's still playing well. He's putting great, and he's generally a good putter on Bermuda. Okay. Like I said, I wouldn't, but I can understand why people might want to. Then you would go 3 of probably these 5. And if you're a believer in Wyndham Clark, you could probably include him in that too. I'm just out on Wyndham Clark this weekend. But for me, I'm going to do something like Patrick Rogers. We haven't listed him yet. I'm going to go Patrick Rogers, Alex Smalley, Will Gordon. And I'm still able to go to 7,700, which is that same price of Stallings, Kisner. I'm gonna go say Callum Tarrant, just because we've used Hostler twice, Griffin twice. We'll now use Callum Tarrant twice, but there's an ultra balanced look to your weekend golf that I think could be viable. Again, I wouldn't go Theegala, but you can't ignore the way he's played so far. But again, I think this is the route I would go most of the time. Harmon Power, Harmon Montgomery, Power Montgomery, and then I am comfortable coming all the way down to Dylan Wu. Martin Trainer a little less so, but I kind of like Dylan Wu. If you're not going Dylan Wu, then I would have no problem going Svensson or Streelman. And then, round it out as you see fit with, I don't want to have to do 2 6Ks. Might have to do Dylan Wu if you are using the 2 10s. Might have to. Svensson, you go Power. Try Grayson Sig. Yeah, this is gonna be. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Go like Bo Hostler, Ben Griffin, 7,200. Justin Suh, not really excited. You know what? Just for you, James. There you go. I'm throwing Bhatia in one. It's a double 6K, but eh. There's another look at a lineup. But I think that is where I would go in terms of my weekend showdown contest lineups. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching and listening, supporting. I always appreciate it. I was going to play a little bit of some games. Actually pretty tired, and I'm going out of town tomorrow, so I want to make sure I get an amount of rest that is more than, say, 3 hours, because I am going to be doing some showdown lineups myself. But thanks again for chilling with me on a Friday night. Hopefully you all had a good week. This was a good de-stressor. We'll definitely be playing some games throughout the holiday season. Since there's no golf tournaments, we'll find some time to, or we'll find some games to occupy some time or whatnot. But going out of town tomorrow, I'm wanting to get some rest. Reminder: I will be live Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the RSM review show. It'll be fairly short, but I will walk you through what I normally do during the mornings on Twitch, where I gather the RSM stats, put them into the comparison course master sheet, and you can see how all that gets updated week after week. So I want to wish you all a very, very good weekend. Good luck with all of your contests. I hope to see you Tuesday, but if I don't, have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of turkey, or I eat a lot of ham, but eat a lot of turkey. Stuff yourself. Watch a little bit of football if you're so inclined. Have a very happy Thanksgiving, and I hope to see you Tuesday night and or next Friday night. So have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.